What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson, and I am joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, my friend, how are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to talk some wrestling. I'm a little disappointed you didn't license Seek and Destroy for me, but you know,
well, we don't have the but. Yeah, not yet. Anyway, not yet. Anyway, I mean, if it that was a good one. I really enjoyed. Oh God, they spent so much money that weekend. But welcome to this episode of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be taking on last night's Monday Night Raw, talking a little bit about this week's NXT, as well as some other trending news stories that we've got. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Come join us. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that QR code for all of our social information. Today, we would like to introduce first-time viewer Kevin W. here in Cincinnati. We appreciate it. We heard that he is a huge fan of professional wrestling and might like this podcast. So hopefully we got a little something that you'll enjoy today, my friend. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick things off. We're looking at Monday Night Raw here, and it was a pretty interesting show, that's for sure. We're about 6 days away from Payback, and cards starting to finally take shape. So we got a few things that we want to talk about here first that have come in as far as the Judgment Day and this story that they're building right now with JD McDonough. Podcast dad, if you can hear me, let's kick this off since Judgment Day kicked off the show last night. What do you think about this involvement with JD McDonough and kind of how he's working his way into the Judgment Day in a very Sami Zayn-esque kind of role?
Yeah, I got you over here. We're gonna go without seeing, see if that helps the connection a little bit. Sorry for all our viewers. You have to just watch Eric.
Boo! That's so horrible. Oh, but go ahead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They set up the tag team match for Payback. I'll be interested to see if it's Finn and Damian going to get those tag straps. I think it might be JD and Finn a little bit further down the road getting those tag straps. So I like his involvement. I like the wedge that he's providing. It's just another added layer to this ongoing saga. So we'll see what happens. I think eventually it's just going to be either he's going to cost him enough times where Damian Priest is going to have enough and leave, and then maybe Rhea and Dom go on their own, and then you get Finn and JD on their own. We'll see what happens, but I do like this added layer, kind of like you said, the Sami Zayn wrinkle to the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at the involvement, everybody knows that there is a history between Finn and JD McDonough, and that definitely doesn't surprise anybody. But do you think that, because this is totally different from Sami Zayn infiltrating the bloodline. It is a new guy trying to infiltrate the family. But here you are where Finn is kind of earmarked as the leader, de facto leader of Judgment Day, or at least that's kind of how things initially looked when he first joined. This is different. This is a very close friend of his. I mean, they've known each other for a decade plus. I mean, do you see them ever coming around to JD being a part of this group? And if you do, who do you think is the first to break that ice? I wonder if we lost the podcast out here. Can't tell if we did, but all right, I'll answer my own question.
I lost you for a second. Yeah, I lost you for a second. Can you go ahead and repeat the question? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. No. You're all good. Do you see JD joining the Judgment Day definitively? And if so, who do you think outside of Finn is the first to kind of welcome him into the fold here?
So I don't know if he's going to join the Judgment Day. I think he's going to just kind of weasel his way into this group. I think Dominic will be the first one to kind of welcome him in, just trying to keep the family happy. I think Rhea and Damian will be a little bit on the outside looking in. I think once Dom accepts JD coming in, I think then Rhea will get on that side. But I don't ever think Damian and JD are ever going to get along and kind of be that odd couple. And eventually that will lead to the ending of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're still such a ways away from any sort of definitive crack in this team. I feel like Payback will definitely be they'll be the tipping point of sorts, but I do think that there's still enough harmony that they can get out of this going into Survivor Series, especially since you and I are still kind of hoping for War Game to be something that takes place. I would like to see the tension continue, but I think that they could wait, and I think they could get to Survivor Series with this additional layer of JD and the will they won't they, and teasing that alliance much like they did last year. I mean, I don't. And I know that we're going to do a full Payback prediction show later on this week, but I don't see them winning the tag team championships here. But I don't know. I could be wrong, and I have been wrong a lot lately. So we'll see.
That tag division needs something though. Like ever since Mania, those tag belts haven't really felt super important. Whether that's due to injury, lack of storyline, whatever it may be. Like they just. When was the last time they were on a PLE? Was that Backlash?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, and the injury bug hasn't really helped him either. Sammy with the elbow, KO with the ribs, but I don't know. I mean, I think that does lead me to talk about another, something else we're seeing in the tag team division right now is this feud between the New Day, Viking Raiders, and then the Glass Bros, Mick Riddle, whatever you want to call these guys. This pairing of Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle. There are some fun matchups I think that could be had there, and now that Alpha Academy is starting to look at the Chad Gable singles run with the Intercontinental Championship, they're going to be taking a backseat to these other teams here on the show. Obviously New Day are going to be perennial contenders for the tag team championships. It's just what they do. But I do like how Viking Raiders are being presented on Raw in 2023. It's taken them a long time to get to this point with this particular tag team. What is it that you think is working for them as to why we care about what they're doing right
now? They're winning matches. I mean, that helps. They've been jobbers of the tag division for how long? I mean, they haven't really done much.
Long enough.
Yeah. Solid TV time, wins. I can't wait, and I know McGriddle is kind of a thing, but I can't wait until Drew McIntyre kicks his head off.
Yeah,
I texted you that last night. I cannot wait for that moment because Drew needs a little bit of refreshing, and a heel Drew McIntyre going against, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but if he goes against Seth Rollins for that world title, I think that's a money feud and a main event scene where you have your top babyface and Cody Rhodes not going for the main title on the show that he's on. I think the main event scene desperately needs a big name to continue feuding with the champion. And as for the New Day, like you said, they'll kind of be perennial. They're not going anywhere. They're a staple of the tag division. I do think they need something. I don't know whether that's an attitude. I don't know what that is. They just kind of feel off right now. And I don't know if it's just because they haven't been there in a while. I'm still interested in what the Street Profits are doing. I think that's, you got to remember, these are still unified tag team champions. So it's both brands.
Sure. Yeah.
So hopefully the tag division will get booked well here soon. But back to your main question about the Viking Raiders, it's yes, they're getting TV time and they're actually winning matches. That's what has changed. The presentation is cool. We know they can work in the ring, but push them. And I think you would have a monster heel tag team in that division.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly would be nice. I do like the additional element of Valhalla, and she's just added something to the presentation of these characters. I mean, obviously we know that she and that are married, but I mean, even though I would like to see Sarah Logan wrestle more, I do like that we are in this new era of tag teams with valets. I mean, Maxine Dupree has been phenomenal with Alpha Academy, and I'm certainly very, very pleasantly impressed with how she's acclimated to that group so well. But I do think, especially coming out of Payback this Sunday, Kevin and Sammy need something to sink their teeth into. It does feel like there's, they've just bounced from Bloodline to Judgment Day, and there's nothing wrong with them having two major feuds, more or less, but there's not really been a true tag team title program for them. It's just been kind of them cleaning up one loose end and finding themselves kind of just dragged into something else that they may not have, necessarily asked for in the first place. So I do think that they do need kind of a wake up call, and I'm hoping that these additional teams that we've talked about are certainly ones that'll help to drive that in the right direction.
100% agree.
And something else that I noticed on Raw last night, and I know that you wanted to take a few minutes to talk about this, but I don't know. I think this is the first time I could think of where WWE ran 3 tribute videos in one show. We had one for Bray Wyatt, we had one for Bob Barker, and then one for Terry Funk. And while the world has certainly mourned the losses of all 3 of these men, Bray Wyatt's, because that was so shocking and so sudden. We've looked more at that more so than the life and times of Terry Funk, and I know that he was a big reason as to why you got into wrestling. So I just want to see if you want to share some of your favorite Terry Funk moments for us.
Yeah, and quickly on Bob Barker, the man lived until 99. He was the closest to go to the dollar without going over. What a legend! What a legend, man! Like, come on, you couldn't script something better. That's amazing.
Yeah, I give you that.
Terry Funk. I was first introduced to Terry Funk as Chainsaw Charlie when he first debuted, and say what you want about that character, it immediately grasped my attention as a young kid watching it. And then it wasn't the greatest run in the world, we know that, but getting older and finding out a little bit more about Terry Funk. I mean, I went and the man's career spanned 50 years in multiple eras. He recreated himself so much. I think when you look at somebody who's kind of reinvented himself, Terry Funk's kind of that blueprint, right? He started off as just this great technical wrestler, a great tag team wrestler. He won the 10 pounds of gold and then went over to Japan and just absolutely became a hardcore legend. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the King of the Deathmatch DVD, but it's one of those where you just have no idea what's going on. And him and Cactus Jack having crazy matches over there in Japan. And you got to think about it, man. He ECW's first pay-per-view. A lot of people remember that.
They did.
Like that's crazy. It's crazy that he did that, and then you have a quick WCW run, and then fast forward a bunch of years later, and he's on ECW One Night Stand in one of the craziest matches that a regular WWE viewer is going, what in the hell is going on? And and I didn't even talk about his stuff with Ric Flair back in WCW too. It is one of those careers that we need to just kind of go back and pay attention to, because I don't know if we will ever get anything like a Terry Funk in the wrestling business again, with how athletic everybody is and stuff going on outside of wrestling now. Like Terry Funk, literally, I mean, he wrestled from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s.
Yeah, it's a 5-decade career.
It's crazy what we saw from him, and I just don't know if we're ever going to see anything like that again. And I just I wanted to give him the respect he deserves. And it is not, I don't want to say we glossed over it because of Bray, but like you said, the Bray is so shocking, and it's a current wrestler, and it's one of those like crazy moments in life where you kind of just think about life and how fragile it is. But I just want to make sure that people understand how important Terry Funk was to the business. Like, look at a John Moxley and kind of look at the influence that Terry Funk has had on him, Mick Foley, and everybody like that. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows Terry Funk. If you haven't seen a Terry Funk match, pick a decade, go watch it. They're all great. And just kind of give him his flowers and make sure that our listeners know and everybody watching knows that Terry Funk was so important to the business.
Yeah. Well said. I I don't disagree with anything that you eloquently stated there. Yeah, it's definitely been a rough week as far as significant losses in wrestling, and to those gentlemen, we thank you, we love you, and again, their memories live on forever by way of the WWE Network and the good old internet. So,
Peacock, pal.
Thank you to those men.
Peacock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for now, we'll see what happens in a couple of years.
That's
but
true. That's true.
Yeah. Now, I do want to move on to because we're talking about Raw here. I gotta say that Memphis crowd was feeling pretty rowdy last night. I can't remember the last time I heard "Whoop That Trick" yelled so many times in an arena before.
Dude,
I mean, I don't know. You tell me, but it was everywhere. And Ludwig Kaiser looked legitimately like he had never heard that phrase
probably
before
hasn't.
whatsoever.
He probably never has. I would, yeah, like that whole Imperium group was probably like, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah,
that crowd was rowdy.
I mean, it's great. I mean, and it especially worked during that particular match. I mean, I gotta say, I'm super excited at what it is that we are seeing with Chad Gable, and now that he's getting this true singles run that he deserves. And I think that we're starting to see glimpses of what Ludwig Kaiser can do on his own as well, and that excites me. I mean, Imperium is not going anywhere anytime soon. I would almost like to see them as a New Day of sorts, is where they just stick together, but then kind of have their own individual accolades that they can go after. Because Kaiser has, he's been a great workhorse, and I know we use that phrase a lot across discussing wrestling, but it's true. I mean, you look at the match that he had with Gable last night, and it just shows you that he can be ready to take over that mantle too when it's time for Gunther to take over the world title picture.
Yeah, they have a plan for Ludwig, man. Like I
hope so.
Like next week, Chad Gable gets a shot at Gunther, and he couldn't get a clean win over Ludwig. Like that, I think that tells you what they feel they have in Ludwig Kaiser. Like I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, Giovanni Vinci, I really hope they kind of get behind him as well, because he is a great talent. I really want the Imperium tag team to be great, because I think as a group, that would be, Gunther as your world champion and then Imperium as your tag champions, and just rule the show. That would be awesome. How didn't they have the Honky Tonk Man come out in Memphis?
That's a good question. I do not know.
Come on.
Especially given how close we are to
this was it.
To Gunther. Yeah. I mean, that might be the only, I mean, I won't say it's the only opportunity. They can always fly him in, but like, you could have struck gold there. You know?
Like
have him take a power bomb.
Or
real
just
quick,
like, can you imagine the interaction? Like these are the two that are vying for the record. You have,
I mean, just that face to face, like walk up, like,
like
you can't be serious.
You're the record holder. Are you serious right now? Like, this is the one I have to beat. Like, that'd be funny. So Gunther will break the record on not this Saturday, but the following Saturday.
Yes.
So we have SmackDown the night before. Do you think anything happens that night? Do you think he shows up? Just to kind of have that last, is he going to do it kind of moment?
I mean, there's only one way that I could see that happening, and I wouldn't want to see that, because at this point, we also know that a certain super actor is also booked for September and October for SmackDown appearances. While it would be easy to do John Cena versus Gunther in like an open challenge sort of thing, I don't necessarily know that I see Cena wrestling anything outside of like a multi-man or a tag match on SmackDown during these 4 months here, or these 2 months here. Now he's got the tag team match that's already announced for the Super Showdown in India, but I mean, that would be the only reason I could even think of having him appear on SmackDown, because he just doesn't have to. But that would be the only way. But I don't necessarily want to see either of them getting beat on TV right now.
I don't know, man. I think that'd be fun. John Cena going after the one title he hasn't had.
I know it would be fun. I know that it would be. It's just let's use these appearances wisely. Is this one that we want to use? Would he put somebody over on free TV, do you think?
mean, it doesn't have to. It could be a smudge finish.
Yeah, but we had a couple of those already with Imperium. It's just
I don't know. I think if Gunther can get a win over John Cena going into his record-breaking day, that'd be. And you want to talk about, hey, this guy's the future kind of thing.
fair.
That would put
Fair.
the stamp on it.
Yeah, it would. It would. Do you see Cena ever getting that elusive Intercontinental Championship?
I don't know. I don't think so because he's not working that full time schedule. They need those mid card titles on a full time schedule. Especially with how they've been doing with Roman and Seth hasn't been wrestling every week, but you've had Gunther's presence and you've had
Sure.
It hasn't been great, but Austin Theory's presence as the U.S. champion kind of weekly, and now with Rey Mysterio, you see it weekly. So I think you want to keep those mid card titles and that weekly, unless he comes back, which I just don't see him coming back.
Fair. Okay. Well, you've already said his name, so we might as well make him appear. Let's talk about our workhorse world champion, Seth freaking Rollins, coming out last night to confront Shinsuke Nakamura. We got a big match coming up at Payback this Saturday. I don't want your prediction, but what do you think about the build to this program? It's been relatively quick, coming off of SummerSlam a few weeks ago, but I want to get your thoughts on what you like about this angle, what you might not like about this angle so far right now, and where does Shane go from here after this?
What I don't like about this angle is why are we getting this Shinsuke now? Where was this Shinsuke 4 or 5 years ago?
I know.
Like this has been amazing. This side of Shinsuke knocked this brutal side of him where he goes, I'm going to make sure you can't walk your dog. This has been amazing. Yeah. And this is the Shinsuke that we needed for so long. And I'm happy that it's happening now. I really am. But part of me goes, because this is the best he's looked. And this is the best he's been presented in since NXT.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people out there that might think that he lost that NXT luster, especially once he lost to Styles at WrestleMania. And it feels like it has taken him a while to come back from that. We know that he's had a couple of Intercontinental Championship reigns, but I didn't think he necessarily needed the alliance with Cesaro or Sami Zayn. I love what they're doing with him now. So I agree with you that, it's annoying that we're getting this now, but it's better late than never, 7 years into his WWE run. I mean, they should have been doing this the entire time. The pre-tapes, the translation, so that way we know what he's saying. He can present himself in his way and not have to worry about the language barrier with the subtitles, which makes it easier because then there's no pressure on him to have to deliver a wordy promo, which I'm sure is still somewhat a thing in WWE these days. So I love that this is kind of, they've given him almost this evil hitman kind of just mercenary vibe that I'm really enjoying. So it'll be a fun match regardless. And I know that we're going to do a full preview show on Payback this week, so I don't want to get into what my prediction is just yet. But I will say I do think this is going to be really fun. What I'm hoping is a main event.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, either this or I think the cage match will main event.
Okay. I can see that. Well, before we get to that Falls Count Anywhere match, we got another gentleman from NXT that we should probably talk about. We got to talk about Tommaso Ciampa here. He did get the win over Big Bronson Reed last night. What do you think of how they're reintroducing him to the audiences, by way of this feud with Bronson Reed? But on social media, he's got the Johnny Gargano is missing flyers.
Just bring Johnny back, please. Like, let's just get this going. Good for Tommaso to get this win. Tommaso is one of my favorite in the company right now. Like, I loved his Blackheart run in NXT and Goldie and all that. That was very, very enjoyable. And I'm happy that he's now getting the television time. And I'm so happy that No One Will Survive his theme song again. Yeah. Thank you. But on the flip side of that, man, like,
so I kind of lost you there for a second, bud. Do you mind repeating that for me?
he should be so. I feel like he got me back.
Yeah, I got you back now. Yep, I got you.
Okay, I'm just kind of going. I'm just kind of going on Bronson Reed. Like I feel like they've kind of dropped the ball on him a little bit since he's been back. I feel like he should be that monster heel right now that could also be a challenger for Seth Rollins. And I think they've dropped the ball a little bit.
He did pin Okada clean.
Yeah, he probably should have
Not
stayed
many people
over
can say that. Yeah, well, yeah, he probably would have gotten a wrestle in front of 81,035 people, for all we know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Okay.
I'm just gonna make everybody mad. My connection shit.
I mean, it's.
I'm claiming that. Like, I'm just gonna make everybody mad today.
I mean, no, there's nothing wrong with it. I what you call mad, I call just delightful. But it's fine. It's fine. Everybody knows that we have the best of intentions when we talk about professional wrestling, and we enjoy it just like everybody else. So don't think that we are trying to say that WWE is better than AEW or vice versa. We're just having fun enjoying both of them. Now I do want to we got a few more things we have to talk about here in Monday Night Raw. Becky Lynch taking on Zoe Stark, false count anywhere match. This went about how I expected it to.
Yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. Some good spots, some solid work. I hope Zoe continues on this path, even after this Becky Trish program. Like, does Trish stay around? We don't know. So hopefully they can kind of keep the momentum with Zoe, because I think she is somebody that can be a player in that division. I love the tribute at the end from Becky with the Bray patch, or the Bray armband. Yep. Like that was a good touch. She cut a promo afterwards, which was nice. But yeah, this is kind of that typical WWE street fight. Like, nothing crazy. It's hard to watch a WWE street fight after you watch Jon Moxley, hit somebody with glass.
Stabbing Orange Cafe. I mean, he stabbed Orange Cassidy in the back of the head with a fork.
Yeah, like it's hard to watch a PG hardcore match when you have that on the other channel.
Yeah. Speaking of the other channel, I'm glad that you mentioned that. We did we did see that Sports Illustrated published a report that both Jack Perry and CM Punk have been suspended by AEW effective immediately. The timeline, or how long the suspension is unknown right now, but All Out is this weekend, the companion show to All In, and it's taking place in Punk's hometown of Chicago. And we know that there are going to be a lot of pissed off Chicagoans this weekend that they don't get to see Chick Magnet Phil. You and I have both read a lot about what may or may not have happened when it comes to this altercation. We're certainly not going to speculate on anything. It's basically, we're hearing things about Punk starting this fight. We're hearing things about Jack Perry starting this fight. Jack Perry may or may not have gone into a business for himself during this at All In, but now that we have a little bit more information, what are you thinking about Phil? After another incident, just barely a year removed from the last one.
That's a good question, because I really don't know, because I also read stuff about him and Miro. Have you seen that?
No, I've not, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was at All In. He got to the back, and Miro kind of asked what happened with Jack Perry, and Punk said, "You got a problem with me too? Do you want to meet me outside?"
No,
allegedly. And it's just like, I don't understand why Punk has to be so defensive about everything right now. It just, like, on the biggest event ever in that company's history, you have another black eye, and it's just like, it sucks that this is what we're talking about again. We're not talking about the 81,000 fans at a very successful show for AEW. We got to talk about another backstage altercation. Like, I just, at what point do you go, if you're Tony Khan, do you just go, this guy isn't worth the trouble? Like, he helps the company. He's got the star power, but he's not worth the hassle at this point, because two of your biggest shows ever, and this is what we talk about. It's the brawl out, and now it's whatever we're gonna end up
Brawl
calling
in.
this. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's
I
brawl in.
mean,
Yeah, no, it's
next we're gonna
just
get the brawl for all.
I mean, oh god, let's not wish that on anybody. No, that's not what we need to do. But it really it's wild because I mean, not only that, but we're also hearing that once Punk actually got to London, his transportation to his hotel was messed up and had to rely on the kindness of strangers on a train to help him get to where he needed to get. I mean, at what point do both sides just say we tried this and it worked for a little while, but we can't continue to subject the locker room to this. We know that Punk has been trying to avail himself as a locker room leader, and if that's happening back there, great. I don't know. I'm not there, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what's going on, but it just seems super conflicting that somebody who wants to be a leader backstage is finding himself, getting so taken aback about a comment that even, and Jack's not exactly blameless in this either. If this was about the promo a couple of weeks ago, then this was not the opportunity to do something like that on worldwide television, because you never knew what was going to happen once you go back through that curtain. And that's, I mean, he effed around and found out, it seems like. At least that's what one side's hearing,
Yeah, and then there was also reporting that they had to calm Punk down, and this is right before they go on for the biggest show ever in their company's history, and you have to calm him down. There were talks about rearranging the card, and it's just again, at what point do you go, all right, this is enough, I'm done?
Yeah,
it's too much hassle. But you've already at this point invested so much into him. He's got his own show on Saturday nights. So
I have a feeling the Elite in Orange Cassidy, I mean, they're going to be I mean, if he's gone, they're going to be asked to can hang out over there, man. I don't know.
I just and now you have, everything's in Chicago this week, and now he's not going to be there. We think we don't know how long the suspensions are for. That's a big draw in Chicago, and that's going to hurt business. Yeah, now you're taking money out of pockets.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen whether we're going to see any noticeable, attendance gaps, based on the crowd size that actually shows up this weekend. But yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, that show's in Chicago for a reason. They plan to have him in Chicago and tout him out there every opportunity that they get when they are in the Windy City. This was just a bad look. I mean, is this, was that one comment so much that he had to, do something about it? And next thing we know, there's this just, schmoz going on backstage minutes before your biggest show ever is getting ready to kick off, and just throwing what I'm sure is a very nerve-wracking, nervous, excited, palpable energy, and then just creating chaos on top of that you now need to sort out.
Yeah, and we got to look at the other side too, and Jack Perry, how much does this hurt him? He's one of those four pillars, and now is that something that they have to take a look at? All right, you're not mature enough for this spot, or does he move back down the card? Because it seemed like he was on the ascension. How does this affect Jack Perry? And it just goes back to Punk. Is this worth it? He is now messing with, a probable push with talent. Your trios champions, the first ever trio champions, were immediately suspended and stripped. This is not a great look. And I go back to it again, that we are not talking about the success of the pay-per-view. We're talking about two guys getting suspended because there's more backstage drama. And at what point, if you're Tony Khan, do you put your foot down and tell them to stop? You have to at this point. But you've let it go this far. You've let Punk make these offhand comments on TV about Hangman Page, about the Young Bucks, and he got away with it. But as soon as Jack Perry
Yeah.
does it, there's an issue. So now you have the whole locker room going,
Yeah.
why does he get to do it and I can't?
Yeah, because I mean, and it's not even just that this. We're not even talking about just comments that Punk has made. After TV has gone off the air, but we're talking about things to ESPN. Like that. Like reputable sports mainstream outlets that are now talking about more of what you're saying, knowing that there was this gigantic beef that led to firings and suspensions and rehirings and non-disclosure agreements being signed, and a lot of money being lost and a lot of good quality programming and feuds that were put on the back burner because all these guys were unavailable. I do want to go to your point as far as talking about what happens with Jack. Do I necessarily think that this is going to affect his place on the card? Not particularly. The way that I see it, he's just another one of the pillars that has found himself in this type of trouble. I mean, excuse me, Sammy Guevara was suspended. MJF walked out of the company, wasn't going to come back until he got an extension, essentially. So it's not the first time we've seen this, and it sucks because he was on the rise as a heel. We talked about this in the recap show the other day that he's starting to come into his own as a heel. It wasn't working to start, but now here we are, where he is starting to find his own, and it's unfortunate that here's this speed bump that we don't necessarily know how long it's going to last. They may not necessarily announce a suspension or a length of it. They'll probably handle it the way they did everybody else a brawl out last year, and I don't know. We'll see what happens, but you have to think suspending Punk days before one of your pillar pay-per-view events in his hometown, and that's why most people want to go see him. And he's likely not going to be available. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and you have to build this card on a week's notice, and that's like you said, that's kind of your big draw. It's really going to hurt the build. It's probably going to hurt the buys. It's a bad situation, and
yeah,
hopefully Tony can get it under control. But track record tells me it's not going. This is not going to be the last of it.
Yeah, unfortunately not. It's. I agree. I mean, and I've told, and I think that anybody that has listened to any of our prior episodes has heard me say that I'm pretty much just indifferent on CM Punk these days. I'm not saying that he doesn't still have more to contribute to wrestling. I'm not saying that he's not still a draw in wrestling. It's just I am it's always been something. Walking out of WWE, and I think that there were some very credible gripes here, at least, if we're taking everything that he said on Colt's podcast as true, if we are. But this just feels like an entirely different beast right now because it's you come into this company, you are immediately embraced by the passionate fan base that has wanted you back, that is done or may not care as much for the sports entertainment aspect of professional wrestling. And then you go into business for yourself and start talking about the EVPs and their friends and doing all this in front of the CEO of the company. Find yourself gone away for damn near 10 months because of that. You come back, you find yourself in a program with Samoa Joe, which was going very, very well. That match at All In was phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what else they do, if anything. It seems like this feud is not over. And then you find yourself getting into another altercation at about the same time. I mean, at what point does it just become? I don't know. It's just maddening. It's just maddening. Is all I'm gonna say.
No, it is, and it's frustrating, and we watch wrestling to enjoy it, and Punk was awesome to watch. Growing up and growing with him and seeing him get in the WWE when nobody thought he'd ever get there. But now it's become the monster that I go back to a promo that he cut in the John Cena build. Like, you're becoming the big bad guy that just is going to push his weight around, and because I've done it, and it'll be interesting to see how AEW handles this one.
Yeah, seriously. It's just there's just too many things up in the air right now, and I think that it's just it does suck because, again, yeah, we're talking more about this than we were, all out. But I do think that we are all in, I should say. That's also going to get super confusing. But that's a me problem. So okay, even though we had
just remember it as they were all in the stadium, and everybody got suspended for All Out, so they were all out of the arena.
All in the stadium, all out of the arena. All into the stadium, all out of the arena. All in at the stadium, all out of the arena. Got it.
Due to suspension.
I appreciate that. You know who wasn't suspended at All In the other day? I'll give you a guess. If you can hear me.
Who was that?
Mercedes Moné was not suspended. And she was there. Yeah. So, I mean, here we are.
Yeah,
biggest show of the year.
I threw this on there because. No, go ahead.
No. That's all you, man. Go ahead. Have at it.
I was just going to say I threw this on there because I don't think they made a big enough deal about it. And I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I think it was appropriate. I do, because well, actually, let me preface it by saying this. If she was not injured, then I would say make a bigger deal out of it. But since this is she's still recovering from the ankle surgery, we don't really know a timetable of when she's returning. Let's not get that into people's heads, but just enough to be like, okay, well, she's in the crowds. She is on TV. She's being shown. The crowd, 80,000+ people saw that she was there. So that is going to get people buzzing about, okay, is she going to become elite? It's going to get all the right questions asked, but it still allows her to be ready on her own time and whatever that might be, because if she didn't have the ankle injury, I think they would have had her do more than just sit in the crowd. But for given the nature of where her status is right now in wrestling, and kind of the fact that she's just healing up, I think that this was totally fine.
See, I almost would have done like have an RJ City or Renee kind of go up there and hey, what are you doing here? Kind of thing. Like maybe do a quick, even on the pre-show or anything, because they showed her on the pre-show. So
yeah, they did.
Like maybe do something like that. And maybe that's just me getting excited to see Mercedes, against some of the better talent in AEW. But like they didn't show her at all during the women's match. Like there was no cut
to
her during the women's match. So like I think having her maybe say something to kind of, hey, what are your intentions here? Or why are you here? Just have her go, hey, I'm just watching, the women's title match tonight or something like that.
Yeah.
Like give me a tease, a little bit more of a tease than her just being there.
Okay. So you're saying that that her just being there doesn't accomplish letting everybody know, oh, she's definitely into this.
I think it does, but I don't think like, yeah, see that's where I'm struggling with it. Like, is it me just wanting to see what the next chapter is and being impatient, or is it
fair?
Man, you have that many eyes on it, and if you can have Mercedes cut a promo on your TV and go,
True.
hey, once I'm healed up, ready to come back, the boss is coming to AEW. Like that gives me more of a, all right, I know she's coming, and I know that division better be on whatever word I'm looking for here. But it's late, guys. But whatever word I'm looking for, like they need to know
they're on notice. Yeah.
There you go. Yes, notice. Thank you. Like Mercedes is coming. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Be prepared, and that way you can kind of have stuff on TV too, kind of tease that, and have a Britt Baker cut a promo about it. Like, hey, I saw somebody in the crowd, and maybe she does. I don't know if she does or not. We haven't seen the TV, but I think you try to make that a bigger deal than what happened, because you didn't show her during the women's match. You showed her during the Acclaimed, and she was having a great time with that. Do people now associate, oh, she's going to go with the Acclaimed? I don't know.
That actually would be really cool. I don't know if that, we know nothing about what might be planned for her, but I would actually really enjoy her hanging out with the Acclaimed. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, it would be fun to see her, with that group, and she would fit that group for sure.
She would. Scissor through the screen. There you go. So before we get out of here, let's just talk a little NXT. We got some interesting matches announced for tonight. We got a fatal 4-way to decide the number one contender for the women's championship. Gigi Dolan taking on Roxanne Perez, Kiana James, and Blair Davenport. What are you thinking about NXT and how they're presenting the women's division right now, my friend?
So I like what they're doing with Tiffany, right? I like that she is kind of going, I'm the best in this division. You guys need to fight over me. I like that aspect of it. I don't know who wins this match. It'd be interesting to see. I'm leaning towards Roxanne because I think she's ready to get back in that main event scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gigi is the right one to do it now. And the other two are more heels than anything, so I don't know if they're going to go. I would love to see Blair Davenport get that shot, but
it'd be so fun.
I don't know if she's done with.
Yeah. No,
Dana Brooke quite yet.
Yeah. No, you're good. I kind of lost you there for a second, so audio was just catching up. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be either Gigi or Roxanne. I mean, I've just not been crazy about either of Gigi or JC since the Toxic Attraction split. I do think that they I don't know. I think they're better as a tag team. That women's tag team division could use them just overall. So we'll see. I mean, if I've got to pick somebody for this one, I'll go Roxanne Perez. I think it's an easy, safe choice, but it'll be a fun match. I don't necessarily see Roxanne winning the championship anytime soon. I think that, if you ask me, she's ready for a main roster call up, and we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to those call ups anymore. So, why not? Let's see what happens.
Doesn't seem to be, huh? Like, I thought a bunch of people would be called up by now.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason that Braun Breaker should still be.
Well, he's going to get put through a table.
Freaking Von Wagner. I don't know. I'm still just kind of like, I don't know. If I'm the jury's still out on Von Wagner. It's just, they went the destructive heel route, and now the sympathetic babyface with a great story route. I don't know. It's just not, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, man.
It doesn't click at all.
Yeah.
Isn't he a free agent?
Yeah.
Did he get drafted?
Yeah, but Gable Steveson was also drafted to Raw, and his first match was on NXT. What makes sense anymore?
We don't talk about that. He hasn't. Has he been on since?
No, actually, he is not. No,
I think that reaction kind of scared him a little bit because they're like, oh my God, somebody's cheering Corbin.
Oh God! Oh yeah, they did.
They did.
Yeah, they did. It just, that wasn't great. I think it's time to pull the plug on the Gable Steveson experiment. Put all your efforts into the Cavender twins.
Yes, do that, please. Yeah, I just the cage match I'm excited for. It's funny that the Dyad getting their biggest push when they said they wanted to leave.
Yep.
That's Sean going, hey, why don't you stay?
Yeah. But I also don't understand why the Creed brothers, who are also ready for the main roster and could fill that Alpha Academy spot while Chad goes and chases singles championship glory, why are they also still in NXT? There's not much more left to do here. Why even worry about being reinstated to NXT when you're just banned from NXT? There's 2 other shows you can go to.
They're not ready, pal.
I think they are.
I do too. I'm just bullshitting you.
I mean, if it was them and Ivy Nile, I'd say no, but it's just them. So yeah,
I would take them up. I'd pair them with Chad Gable.
Oh have
that be your Alpha Academy. Like Chad can still do the singles run.
Yeah. No. Okay. All right. I can see that. And then Big O can worm his way into everybody's hearts. Caterpillar.
He can do whatever he wants.
Whatever
he wants, and he'll be over. If you just take him off with Maxine and they do their own thing, I'd be fine.
That'd be cool. Unless Ludwig plays Mr. Steeler Girl.
Might happen.
Right?
I saw the way she was looking.
I
Saw the
mean,
way she was looking last night.
I don't think, and I mean, just hear me, and I'm just kind of riffing on this. I had not thought about this till now. I mean, Maxine in Imperium as a valet. What would you think about that? More for the tag team, more so than Gunther.
Yeah, that's where I get hung up on a little bit. Is I don't know if that fits the Gunther character. Like he's so strong, and he's like, I'm the leader of this group, and these are who I handpicked. And I don't know if I think it's more of a Ludwig thing of you're getting distracted by this, and I'm maybe Gunther then breaks off and does his own thing, and then like you said, it's for the tag team. Because I mean, I could see a nice little love triangle between Kaiser, Vinci, and Maxine, and I think that'd be a fun program.
I mean, and I also it reminds me of the Attitude Era days. Remember when Dean Malenko had that thing with Lita, and they went on a date and had those vignettes and stuff, and we've seen that with the Usos and Naomi and Mandy over the years. Like that would be a lot of fun with Ludwig and Maxine. You have to admit.
No, I mean, just like with Rhea and Dom, those vignettes that we've been getting like that. Yes, it would be a good time. But I would also like to see, I don't want to see Otis go away because Otis is just entertaining.
Oh yeah. No, I think that it's interesting how he has started as that heavy machinery, kind of lovable, just goofy powerhouse, and then gets all serious with Alpha Academy, and now they're starting to learn how to have some fun with while still remaining intense and keeping that dynamic. I think it's ready for them to break him back out again. Let's see what he can do now that he's had a few years on the roster.
Do you remember he won the Money in the Bank?
Yeah, I did, but we also just kind of don't. We kind of just gloss over that year entirely. So
I'm like thinking of Otis, and you're going through his career, and I'm like, oh yeah, he won the Money in the Bank.
He did.
Oops.
Yeah.
On the
roof. That's all right. Yeah. Titan Tower.
What is sentence? Otis won the Money in the Bank on the roof.
Wildest match ever to take place in Titan Towers. That's for sure.
I love wrestling. I love it.
Right, and it's just the best.
I love it.
And speaking of good wrestling, the Heritage Cup has become a mainstay on NXT. Noam Dar and his delightful delusion have made that division worth watching. And tonight we're going to see a Global Heritage Invitational. There's an A block and a B block. I don't know necessarily everybody that's involved in it. It looks like we've got Nathan Frazier taking on Joe Coffey and Butch returning to NXT to take on Charlie Dempsey. What do you think about NXT reintroducing this, Heritage Cup, an element that was very, very true blue NXT UK into, NXT USA?
So I like the idea of it, but I don't love the matches. I don't love the setup of the matches.
Okay.
And maybe they'll keep growing on me as we get this tournament, but it's still weird. I want to see kind of that might be something that I need to get over, and because I'm not super familiar with the concept, and maybe I need to see more of the matches to see if I like them. I think these matches will be good. It'll be cool to see Butch back down in NXT. I can't wait till Booker T calls him Pete Dunne 400 times and has to keep correcting himself. But I mean these will be solid matches. I almost want them to create a Heritage Championship rather than that giant trophy that they have to carry around. I think that would be something cool. Now, I don't know if they need another title, but they did get rid of the UK champion, so maybe this can kind of fill that void.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking about it, is that this could be like the European Championship of sorts. The North American title field, let's be honest, Dom and Judgment Day equal ratings. He's not losing that championship anytime soon. And I don't necessarily want to see them sacrifice or feed that entire roster to Dom just for the sake of keeping him over and using the championship at everybody else's detriment. But this is a nice additional championship, especially for those that did spend a long time in NXT UK, that did compete in these matches. I mean, Frazier, Coffey, we know that Tyler Bate has held it on a couple of occasions. Noam Dar is probably one of the best that they've had because he's won it so many times. this at least gives those other guys something to do without necessarily having them be sacrificed to Judgment Day, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, Noam Dar. I mean, that guy's killing it right now, and I wasn't super familiar with him, but like that is a great character. It's a great group, and I really enjoy what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing that I really remember of Noam Dar before NXT UK was when he was super infatuated with Alicia Fox. Like that's the one storyline that sticks out as his pursuit of her. And then, goes and has a run over in NXT UK. They bring him back here with the Heritage Cup. And once he loses it, he just goes and gets a fake one made. And it's a lot of fun because this is a character, a guy that, he came in the Cruiserweight Classic. I don't think they really got a chance to show a whole lot of range in his character development. He's just a guy that we know can wrestle. And he's definitely more than that. And he's really kind of, showcased those chops. And I enjoy that this has helped give Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson and Oro Mensah something to do because – in my personal opinion, those three were floundering before they got with him and formed Metaphor. I know that you did not really see a whole lot of Lash Legend. I know that you don't watch NXT Level Up, even though he said that he would, ladies and gentlemen. But, it's okay. It's okay.
I try.
Try harder. Do better.
All right. I'll do it on Friday nights.
Yeah, Lord knows it won't be me.
At 11 o'clock? Is that what we said?
10 o'clock. We do this every 10 o'clock on Peacock. Say it with me. 10 o'clock on Peacock.
I'm not saying that with you. That sounds like you're trying to take me to dinner.
You're not my type, buddy. Okay. Anyway, wow, final thoughts on what? Okay. Sorry.
That would hurt. It's okay.
I love you anyway. But any final thoughts on this week's episode, my friend, or today's episode?
No, again, I wanted to get that Terry Funk point out. If you guys have a chance to go watch on Magic Flair, they're just awesome. If you have a chance to watch the Empty Arena match with Jerry Lawler back in Memphis, those are it's such a unique match that'd be something really, really good to go watch. But yeah, no, it's a big week of wrestling. Again, it seems to never slow down. We have 2 pay-per-views this weekend and NXT tonight. We have the build to All Out on Dynamite. We'll see how many more matches they put on the card. We'll see who's not going to be on the card and who will be on the card. I don't know if they're going to have a world champion on the card. MJF is supposed to be on vacation, so is this the Jon Moxley fishing thing again?
It kind of seems... There's also reported travel delays coming back from the UK due to something technical, I think, with their equivalent of the FAA. So that could be interesting. There might still be some people that are stuck over there. But thank you guys so much for checking out this episode of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. We will be back live tomorrow. We'll be talking about NXT's Fallout. We'll be getting ready once again for Dynamite and getting ready for these 2 big shows this weekend. So once again, thank you so much for checking this episode out. Remember to like, share, subscribe. That QR code in the corner has all of our social media information. If you have a message that you want to send to anybody by way of our ticker at the bottom of the screen, feel free to message us, and we'll be sure to talk to you about getting it on the show. But for the podcast dad himself, the faceless podcast dad this evening, go take care of them little looses today, my friend.
Yeah, we're going to fix this connection for tomorrow, folks.
Oh yeah. No, it's all good. It's all a work in progress, but we're having a lot of fun doing it. So again, for Podcast Dad and Mr. Cincinnati, this has been the Wrestling Junkies podcast, and we will be talking to you guys very, very soon. Thanks so much.